The morning sun cast long shadows across the military training ground as Sarah Martinez adjusted her rifle scope for the 100th time. Around her, the most elite Navy SEALs in the country were preparing for what their instructors called the ultimate marksmanship challenge. These weren't ordinary soldiers, they were the cream of the crop, men who had survived Hell Week and countless missions in hostile territories. Sarah stood out like a rose among thorns. At 26, she was the only woman among 32 participants in this exclusive training program. Her presence had raised eyebrows from day one, but she had earned her spot through exceptional performance in the Marine Corps sniper program. Still, whispers followed her everywhere she went. The challenge was simple in concept but brutal in execution. 100 targets placed at varying distances, some stationary, others moving, all requiring precision that separated legends from wannabes. The SEALs had been preparing for this moment for months, their confidence evident in their casual banter and relaxed postures. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, a decorated SEAL with over 200 confirmed kills in Afghanistan, stretched his arms and grinned at his teammates. He had never missed more than 3 targets in any competition. His reputation was built on impossible shots that others could only dream of making. Sarah remained quiet, methodically checking her equipment while the men around her shared war stories and boasted about their previous achievements. She had learned early in her military career that actions spoke louder than words, especially when you were constantly proving yourself in a male-dominated field. The range officer called for attention, his voice cutting through the morning chatter. The targets were arranged across a massive field that stretched nearly 2 miles, incorporating natural obstacles, wind patterns, and lighting challenges that would test every aspect of their training. As the competitors took their positions, Sarah noticed the subtle glances and smirks from some of the SEALs. She had faced this skepticism before, but today felt different. Today, she had something to prove not just to them, but to herself. The first round would begin in 10 minutes, and the pressure was mounting. Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the wind direction and speed, calculating angles and distances in her mind. This was more than just a competition. It was her chance to show that excellence knew no gender boundaries. When she opened her eyes, her focus was absolute. The doubt and whispers faded into background noise as she prepared to demonstrate why she belonged among the elite. The first whistle pierced the air, signaling the start of the competition. Sarah's breathing slowed as she settled into her shooting position, her body becoming one with the rifle. Around her, the rapid-fire reports of other weapons created a symphony of controlled violence. Target number 1 appeared at 800 yards, a standard bullseye that most snipers could hit blindfolded. Sarah's shot rang out clean and true, the distant target spinning as her bullet found its center. No celebration, no acknowledgement. She was already moving to acquire target 2. Lieutenant Commander Morrison was keeping pace beside her, his shots equally precise. The other SEALs were performing as expected, their training evident in their smooth, methodical approach. But something was different about Sarah's rhythm. Where others took 3 to 4 seconds between shots, she was firing every 2 seconds with mechanical precision. Target 15 was a moving silhouette at 1,200 yards, swaying in the crosswind that had begun to pick up. Several SEALs had already missed this challenging shot. Morrison took his time, calculating wind speed and target movement before squeezing the trigger. His shot went wide by inches. Sarah's rifle spoke almost immediately after his miss. The moving target stopped abruptly as her bullet struck dead center. Morrison glanced over, his confidence beginning to show the first cracks. This wasn't luck. This was something else entirely. The competition continued through various scenarios designed to break even the most skilled marksman. Night vision shots, extreme distance targets, and rapid-fire sequences that tested both accuracy and speed. Sarah moved through each challenge like water flowing around rocks, natural and unstoppable. By target 30, a pattern had emerged that no one could ignore. While the best SEALs were hitting roughly 80% of their targets, Sarah hadn't missed a single shot. The range became quieter as more competitors began paying attention to the woman who was rewriting the rules of what they thought possible. Master Chief Rodriguez, the head instructor, watched through his binoculars with growing amazement. In 20 years of running these competitions, he had never seen anything like this. The SEALs around Sarah were elite warriors, men who had proven themselves in life-and-death situations, yet she was making them look like amateurs. Target 45 was the curveball, a small metal disc spinning at 1,500 yards, visible only through thermal imaging. Half the remaining competitors didn't even attempt the shot, knowing it was nearly impossible. Those who tried missed spectacularly, their bullets disappearing into the empty landscape beyond. Sarah adjusted her scope, calculated the rotation speed, and fired without hesitation. The distant spinning stopped instantly. Even the instructors were now openly staring, their professional composure cracking in the face of what they were witnessing. The whispers among the SEALs had changed from skeptical to amazed, then to something approaching awe. As the competition entered its most challenging phase, the psychological pressure began taking its toll on even the most experienced SEALs. Several had already withdrawn after missing too many shots, their confidence shattered by targets that seemed impossible to hit. The remaining competitors were the absolute best, yet they found themselves constantly looking toward Sarah's position in disbelief. Lieutenant Commander Morrison was struggling with something he had never experienced before: doubt. His usual calm demeanor was replaced by visible tension as he missed his third consecutive shot. The man who had never met a target he couldn't hit was watching a woman make every shot look effortless, while he fought to maintain his reputation. Sarah, meanwhile, seemed to exist in a different dimension. Her movements were fluid and precise, each shot fired with the confidence of someone who knew exactly where the bullet would land before pulling the trigger. She wasn't just hitting targets. She was placing bullets exactly where she intended, often in the same hole when shooting at stationary targets. Target 68 presented a new level of difficulty. The instructors had placed a playing card edge on at 1,000 yards, requiring a shot accurate enough to split the card cleanly in half. It was a trick shot that few people in the world could accomplish, and certainly not under competition pressure. The remaining SEALs studied the target through their scopes, calculating angles and wind drift. Most decided it wasn't worth attempting, choosing to save their ammunition for more achievable targets. Morrison spent nearly 5 minutes preparing for the shot, his usual quick decision-making replaced by overthinking and second-guessing. His bullet passed inches to the left of the card, a miss that would have been respectable for most shooters but felt like failure to him. The other SEALs who attempted the shot fared no better, their bullets either missing entirely or clipping the edge without the clean split required. Sarah approached the impossible target with the same calm focus she had shown all day. Her breathing remained steady, her movements deliberate but unhurried. She fired once and the playing card disappeared from view. Through the spotting scope, the instructors confirmed what everyone already knew: a perfect center split that left 2 equal halves fluttering to the ground. The range had become eerily quiet except for the sound of Sarah's rifle. Even the wind seemed to have stilled, as if nature itself was holding its breath to watch this extraordinary display of marksmanship. The SEALs were no longer competing against each other. They were witnessing something that would become legend. Master Chief Rodriguez found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about shooting. He had trained thousands of snipers, worked with the best marksmen in every branch of the military, and had never seen anything approaching this level of consistency and precision. Sarah wasn't just having a good day. She was operating at a level that shouldn't have been humanly possible. Target 75 brought a new challenge that broke the last resistance among the SEALs. It was a sequence of 5 targets that had to be engaged in order within 10 seconds, each at different ranges and requiring different holds. The complexity was designed to overwhelm even the most skilled shooters, forcing them to make quick decisions that would inevitably lead to mistakes. Sarah completed the sequence in 7 seconds, all 5 targets neutralized with surgical precision. As the competition entered its most challenging phase, the psychological pressure began taking its toll on even the most experienced SEALs. Several had already withdrawn after missing too many shots, their confidence shattered by targets that seemed impossible to hit. The remaining competitors were the absolute best, yet they found themselves constantly looking toward Sarah's position in disbelief. Lieutenant Commander Morrison was struggling with something he had never experienced before: doubt. His usual calm demeanor was replaced by visible tension as he missed his third consecutive shot. The man who had never met a target he couldn't hit was watching a woman make every shot look effortless, while he fought to maintain his reputation. Sarah, meanwhile, seemed to exist in a different dimension. Her movements were fluid and precise, Each shot fired with the confidence of someone who knew exactly where the bullet would land before pulling the trigger. She wasn't just hitting targets. She was placing bullets exactly where she intended, often in the same hole when shooting at stationary targets. Target 68 presented a new level of difficulty. The instructors had placed a playing card edge on at 1,000 yards, requiring a shot accurate enough to split the card cleanly in half. It was a trick shot that few people in the world could accomplish, and certainly not under competition pressure. The remaining SEALs studied the target through their scopes, calculating angles and wind drift. Most decided it wasn't worth attempting, choosing to save their ammunition for more achievable targets. Morrison spent nearly 5 minutes preparing for the shot, his usual quick decision-making replaced by overthinking and second-guessing. His bullet passed inches to the left of the card, a miss that would have been respectable for most shooters but felt like failure to him. The other SEALs who attempted the shot fared no better, their bullets either missing entirely or clipping the edge without the clean split required. Sarah approached the impossible target with the same calm focus she had shown all day. Her breathing remained steady, her movements deliberate but unhurried. She fired once and the playing card disappeared from view. Through the spotting scope, the instructors confirmed what everyone already knew, a perfect center split that left 2 equal halves fluttering to the ground. The range had become eerily quiet except for the sound of Sarah's rifle. Even the wind seemed to have stilled, as if nature itself was holding its breath to watch this extraordinary display of marksmanship. The SEALs were no longer competing against each other. They were witnessing something that would become legend. Master Chief Rodriguez found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about shooting. He had trained thousands of snipers, worked with the best marksmen in every branch of the military, and had never seen anything approaching this level of consistency and precision. Sarah wasn't just having a good day. She was operating at a level that shouldn't have been humanly possible. Target 75 brought a new challenge that broke the last resistance among the SEALs. It was a sequence of 5 targets that had to be engaged in order within 10 seconds, each at different ranges and requiring different holds. The complexity was designed to overwhelm even the most skilled shooters, forcing them to make quick decisions that would inevitably lead to mistakes. Sarah completed the sequence in 7 seconds, all 5 targets neutralized with surgical precision. By target 80, the competition had transformed into something unprecedented. Word had spread throughout the base about what was happening on the range, and off-duty personnel were arriving to witness the spectacle. Officers who had decades of combat experience stood in stunned silence as they watched Sarah continue her perfect streak. The remaining SEALs were no longer really competing. They were going through the motions, but their attention was focused on the woman who had turned their elite training into a masterclass. Some had stopped shooting altogether, choosing instead to watch history being made. Lieutenant Commander Morrison finally approached Sarah during a brief equipment check break. His pride was wounded, but his respect for what he was witnessing overrode his ego. He had to know how she was doing what seemed impossible. Sarah looked up from cleaning her rifle, her expression calm and focused. When Morrison asked about her technique, she smiled for the first time all day. She explained that she had grown up on a ranch in Montana, where shooting wasn't a military skill but a way of life. Her father had taught her to shoot when she was 8 years old, starting with cans and bottles before moving to increasingly difficult targets. What made her different wasn't just practice, though she had fired more rounds than most people could count. It was her approach to shooting as a form of meditation. Where others fought against variables like wind and distance, she embraced them, becoming part of the environment rather than trying to overcome it. Morrison listened intently as she described how she visualized each shot, not as a challenge to be conquered, but as a conversation between herself, the rifle, and the target. The bullet was simply the message she was sending, and she had been perfecting that conversation her entire life. The explanation was both simple and profound. While the SEALs had learned to shoot as warriors, Sarah had learned to shoot as an artist. Their approach was about domination and control. Hers was about harmony and understanding. Both were effective, but her method had reached a level of mastery that transcended conventional training. Target 85 presented the ultimate test of nerve and skill. It was a precision shot at maximum range, nearly 2 miles away, at a target barely visible to the naked eye. The shot required calculating for extreme bullet drop, wind drift at multiple elevations, and atmospheric conditions that could change between trigger pull and impact. Several spotters were positioned along the range to confirm hits at this distance, as even the most powerful scopes couldn't provide clear feedback. The target was a steel plate no larger than a dinner plate, and hitting it would require not just skill, but a degree of luck that few were willing to bet on. The first SEAL to attempt the shot was a legendary marksman with confirmed kills at extreme distance in combat. His bullet kicked up dust 50 yards short and 30 yards left of the target. The second attempt came closer but still missed by a significant margin. Sarah studied the range through her scope, noting the heat mirage, wind flags at various distances, and even the movement of grass that indicated ground-level air currents. She made minute adjustments to her scope, settled into her shooting position, and controlled her breathing until her heart rate slowed to almost resting levels. The shot seemed to hang in the air forever, the sound echoing across the vast range before fading into silence. Then came the metallic ring of bullet striking steel, carried back on the wind like a distant bell. The spotters confirmed what everyone already knew: another perfect hit. The psychological impact on the remaining SEALs was complete. They were witnessing something that would reshape their understanding of what human capability could achieve. Target 100 stood alone in the distance, waiting like a final judgment. The challenge had been designed as the ultimate test, a shot that combined every difficulty the instructors could imagine into a single, nearly impossible scenario. The target was smaller than a silver dollar, placed at maximum range behind multiple obstacles, with environmental conditions that would challenge even computer-guided systems. The crowd had swelled to include personnel from across the base. Word had spread through military networks, and even some civilian contractors had found reasons to be in the area. Everyone understood they were witnessing something that would become legend, a story that would be told and retold throughout military history. Sarah stood at the firing line, her rifle ready for the final shot that would either complete her perfect streak or break it at the last moment. The pressure was immense, but she seemed untouched by it, existing in a calm space that the chaos around her couldn't penetrate. The SEALs who had started the day as competitors were now openly cheering for her success. Their initial skepticism and wounded pride had been replaced by genuine respect and a desire to see history made. Lieutenant Commander Morrison stood ready to spot for her one final time. Their partnership having evolved into something neither had expected, General Hayes stepped forward to address the situation personally. In her 30 years of military service, she had never seen anything approaching this level of performance. She wanted to understand not just what Sarah was doing, but how it might change their approach to training future snipers. Sarah described her mental state as a form of active meditation, where conscious thought gave way to intuitive understanding. She didn't aim in the traditional sense. She became the trajectory the bullet needed to follow. The rifle was an extension of her body, the target a destination she was guiding the bullet toward rather than firing at. The final target required shooting through a series of narrow openings, with the bullet's path calculated to thread between obstacles that would deflect or stop a projectile that was even slightly off course. Wind conditions were variable along the trajectory, requiring real-time adjustments that most computers would struggle to calculate. Sarah settled into her final shooting position as the base fell silent. Even the wind seemed to pause, as if nature itself wanted to see how this extraordinary day would conclude. Her breathing slowed to almost nothing, her heartbeat becoming the only rhythm that mattered. The shot broke like thunder across the range, echoing off buildings and rolling across the landscape before fading into expectant silence. The bullet's flight time at maximum range meant several seconds of waiting before impact, seconds that stretched like hours for everyone watching. Then came the sound they were all waiting for, the sharp ring of metal on metal that confirmed another perfect hit. The crowd erupted in cheers that could be heard across the entire base, a celebration not just of marksmanship, but of human potential pushed to its absolute limits. Sarah had done what seemed impossible. 100 targets, 100 perfect hits. Not a single miss, not a single shot that was anything less than exactly where she intended it to go. The SEALs surrounded her, their earlier competitiveness replaced by genuine admiration and respect. Lieutenant Commander Morrison was the first to shake her hand, his words carrying weight that everyone understood. He told her that in all his years of combat and training, He had never seen anything approaching what she had accomplished. More importantly, he thanked her for teaching him that excellence had no boundaries beyond those people placed on themselves. Master Chief Rodriguez was already planning how to incorporate Sarah's techniques into future training programs, understanding that her approach could revolutionize how they developed snipers. The old methods weren't wrong, but they were incomplete compared to what she had demonstrated. The aftermath of Sarah's perfect performance rippled through military circles like shockwaves from a distant explosion. Within hours, reports were being transmitted to the Pentagon, where senior officials struggled to believe what they were reading. A perfect score on the most challenging marksmanship test ever designed wasn't just unprecedented. It was something that military science had considered theoretically impossible. General Hayes found herself fielding calls from commanders around the world, all wanting to understand what had happened and how they could learn from it. The video footage of Sarah's performance was classified immediately, not for security reasons, but because the implications were too significant to release without careful consideration. Sarah herself remained remarkably humble about her achievement. When interviewed by military historians who arrived within days, she consistently deflected credit to her father's patient teaching and the Montana landscape that had shaped her understanding of shooting. She seemed genuinely surprised by the attention, having simply done what felt natural to her. The SEALs who had competed against her became her most vocal advocates. Lieutenant Commander Morrison requested a transfer to work with the new training program being developed around Sarah's techniques. He understood that his own considerable skills could be enhanced by learning her approach, and his ego had evolved enough to accept instruction from someone he had initially underestimated. Within months, Sarah found herself promoted and assigned to develop a revolutionary sniper training curriculum. Her methods, which combined traditional marksmanship with meditation techniques and environmental awareness, began producing results that amazed instructors across all military branches. The psychological impact of her achievement extended far beyond marksmanship. Her perfect performance had demonstrated that preconceived limitations were often self-imposed, and that exceptional ability could emerge from unexpected places. Female recruitment for sniper programs increased dramatically as word spread through unofficial channels about what Sarah had accomplished. Master Chief Rodriguez documented every aspect of that remarkable day, creating a training manual that would influence military marksmanship for generations. He understood that while few people might ever match Sarah's natural ability, everyone could benefit from understanding her approach to the mental aspects of precision shooting. The competition itself became a watershed moment for military training philosophy. The old emphasis on physical conditioning and technical knowledge remained important, but Sarah's success highlighted the crucial role of mental preparation and intuitive understanding in achieving peak performance. Years later, when military historians analyzed the event, they concluded that Sarah Martinez had done more than hit 100 consecutive targets. She had proven that human potential extended far beyond what conventional wisdom considered possible, and that the integration of mind, body, and environment could produce results that seemed almost supernatural. The range where she achieved her perfect score was eventually renamed in her honor, and a small plaque marked the position where she had made her final shot. Visiting snipers would often pause there, trying to understand how someone had pushed the boundaries of human capability so far beyond what anyone thought possible. Sarah continued her military career, training new generations of snipers and occasionally demonstrating her remarkable skills for visiting dignitaries and fellow soldiers. But she never forgot the lesson of that perfect day. That excellence wasn't about defeating others, but about understanding yourself and your environment so completely that extraordinary achievement became the natural result of that harmony. The story of her perfect 100 spread through military folklore, inspiring countless soldiers to push beyond their perceived limitations. Her legacy wasn't just in the targets she hit, but in the minds she opened to new possibilities.